This is not a costume, not a brand, not a political identity. It is heritage lived, not consumed. This work is for men willing to live by the standards of their ancestors, not just display them. All are welcome to listen, even though not all are willing to do the work. Before we go any further, I need to establish some context. In a future video, we'll explore gods of creation, transition, and transformation, and what the Forge represents in that process. This is not that discussion. This video is about setting the ground beneath it, so when we return to those ideas, you're prepared to understand them clearly. It's my observation that most people today have a commercial relationship with their European tradition. And by limiting themselves to that kind of interaction with their Indo-European heritage, they fall short of the connection they're actually trying to make. I believe that frustrates them, because I was once frustrated by the same problem. It's like trying to cook a meal using a car owner's manual. The book isn't useless, but it was never meant for that purpose. And no matter how carefully you follow it, you won't get the results you're hungry for. In a previous episode, I thought it was important to highlight my own journey, from Dungeons & Dragons to Operator. Not as a flex, but because I want you to understand that I lived on both sides of this paradigm. I was the outcast, the nonconformist, lacking masculinity, lacking strength. But through choice and willpower, I grew out of that. I grew up. I had to accept that perfect was standing in the way of good enough, that I didn't know everything and never would. What mattered was that I began, that I took the first step on the path. I stopped theorizing and started practicing. I became part of a warband and earned the privilege to hunt. What I learned in that transition is this: it's not going to be given to you. They don't want you to have it. You will have to choose this way of life. And that means a much deeper commitment than just buying a necklace, wearing a t-shirt, painting your face, or combing your hair in a certain way. It means far more than replicating what you've seen on historically inaccurate television shows. And while I do encourage connection to your tradition, and I'm genuinely grateful that some of you are openly embracing it in the only way you currently know how, I don't believe this method is going to get you where you want to go. The Indo-European tradition is meant to be viewed through the lens of a masculine warband. That's the missing piece. It is a masculine psychology, and that psychology is developed with other men and young men. Throughout history, it has been called many things. The Mannerman, the Herios. The Spartans called it the Agoge. But it's the same phenomenon. The baptism of fire, the rite of passage into manhood. That rite is largely missing in modern culture, modern European culture especially, but it isn't lost. I can see an unbroken chain of continuity of the manor bun going back thousands of years. It just may not look the way it used to, and it still exists if you know where to look. Our intent with the Manor Bun podcast and the project, and with our warband of young men, is to formally reignite this tradition, to give you space to breathe, spiritually speaking, to give you a medium, a tether, back to the old ways. Because it's not enough to be born with the genetics. You have to choose to live by the values of the tribe. That's a serious commitment, and this is where most people get it wrong. What most young Viking enthusiasts need to understand is this. In the modern military, the Green Beret does not make the man. The man makes the Green Beret. The same is true of the Seal Trident, the Ranger Tab. Those symbols carry weight only because of the caliber of men who earned the right to wear them. Harold Hardrada did not become formidable by clinging to the past. He became formidable by meeting the demands of his time. If he lived today, he would look like a modern operator, because warriors adapt, or they disappear. And before we move on, let me be clear about something. There is real merit in preservation. We owe the so-called LARPers some gratitude. Much of what still exists today survived because men were willing to keep it alive when they had nowhere else to go. That mattered, and it deserves our respect. But preservation is not the end state. Every living tradition passes through phases. What was once necessary to survive is not always sufficient to move forward. We are no longer in the phase of hiding embers. We are now in the phase of building fire. Now, most commercial experiences today try to reverse that order. They promise that if you wear the symbol, simply adopt the belief, or join the aesthetic, the identity will follow. But it doesn't work that way. You are the tribe, and the tribe is only as strong as the men who add meaning to its symbols. It is your pursuit of excellence, your discipline, your sacrifice, your confrontation with danger that gives those symbols their power. The hammer mattered because Vikings were the most dangerous men of their age, not because of what they wore, but because of who they were. Most people have this completely backwards, and that may explain why, when a man wears the Thor's hammer today, he's mocked or dismissed. Not because the symbol lacks meaning, but because the symbols cannot carry more weight than the men who bear them. That hammer will not make you a man. It will not make you a warrior. It will not make you a Viking. You must become those things first, so that when others see that symbol, they understand what it's for. When identity is reduced to purchase or performance, it loses gravity. Heritage and respect can't be bought. It isn't for sale. And by limiting yourself to a purely commercial or aesthetic experience, you will never understand what it truly means or how it feels to actually be on the team. You know the stories, you have the jerseys, you've studied the highlights, but you don't play. You don't actually know how it feels to be the man in the arena. And to be clear, as I've said, there is value in preservation. There is honor in keeping the memory alive. Every tradition needs its keepers, but we are not living in a museum. This moment, now, requires men of action. This is the age of heroes. Many are drawn to the Vikings, and that makes sense. They were absolute forces of nature whose memories survived antiquity. They command our respect. But they were not isolated anomalies. They were one chapter in a far older, far wider warband tradition, a tradition that reaches back thousands of years. Even the Viking raids themselves are often misunderstood, not mindless plunder, but men responding to pressure in defense of their people and way of life. They were men fighting to preserve their people, their families, their traditions. Sound familiar? That way of thinking is difficult to grasp today, because modern Western democracies lack masculine psychology. But warbands understand it, biker gangs understand it, elite military units understand it, elite athletes understand it. They've learned the lessons of self-sacrifice, discipline, duty, loyalty, honor, and high standards. They know what it means to be part of something earned, something greater than themselves. And that's what I want for you. Not in theory, but in practice. Some of you are already on that path, strengthening your body, sharpening your skills, taking responsibility for your lives. And I sincerely respect that. Others are trapped, distracted, anesthetized, slowly wasting away in modern comforts. If that's you, hear this clearly. You're not beyond help. You're not broken, and it's not too late. It's never too late. Stop pretending to be the Viking. Become the Viking. The Warband will help you get there. We want you to succeed. Ask yourself, do you fear confrontation? Do you avoid it? Are you still afraid to die? What do you know of fury, of frenzy, of strength? Are you spiritually connected to your ancestors, to your true tradition? I know most of you have that spark. I had it. I understand it to be the calling. I was pulled towards something greater than dying in a cubicle. I suspect most of you are too. Many, through no fault of your own, have been robbed of the chance to be productive members of society, robbed of the opportunity to start families of your own. And now, you may be asking yourself, what's the point? What's the purpose? Maybe you've even been labeled an incel. The Warband is here for you. We can help. We will claim you. But only if you willingly submit yourself to the path of kings. You can be part of something great. You can be part of your tradition again. With effort and discipline, you can become a hero we need in the modern age. We'll give you that opportunity. When you're ready, we'll be here. You can do it. And I believe in you. Until next time. Many of you have reached for connection, and I see that. I will continue to respond meaningfully as I can. If this message resonates with you, I'm asking for patience. Wheels are in motion, work is being done. But this is not something that can be rushed. Use the frustration of waiting the right way. Burn it off in the gym or on the mat. In disciplined effort that strengthens you instead of consuming you. Exercise restraint. Build yourself while the ground is being prepared. Have faith in the process. The Herios are here, and we will not abandon you.